Welcome to The Riff, brought to you by mytoronto.ca, where two internationally acclaimed artists, painter and animator Gary O'Brien and jazz fusion guitarist Jeremy Green, dig into Toronto's entertainment scene, where they'll be hanging out with all sorts of creative minds, from music, comedy, sports, theater, and everything that lurks in between, with a special spotlight on our foodie culture.
All right, here we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to The Riff. We have another exciting episode, and I do mean exciting. I mean that in the most honest way possible because we have a great guest today. My name is Gary O'Brien. How are you doing? With me, as always, my co-host, Jeremy Green. Jeremy.
Hey, buddy. How's it going?
Not bad. You're sporting a nice shirt today.
Nice, eh? See?
Very timely.
Very timely. Yeah,
Tonight,
the Jays did nice. Canada represented in the World Series. Tariff that. Yeah. No, so that's very exciting. The city is electric right now. Everyone's kind of freaking out, and baseball is all over the place.
Baseball mad right now. And you can see the lineup down here at the Sky Dome where people are buying their $4,000 seats.
It's literally been lined up all week. It's just nonstop. People just doing it, just going for it. Yeah, so amazing.
It's been 30 years.
It's been 30 years. So yeah, that's a nice
overdue.
Little and they were terrible last year. So this is a really weird surprise. Although it kind of bums me out in a little way because I'm not really a baseball fan that much, but I used to be able to get tickets for nothing over there to go see a game last year.
Right.
And this year I haven't been able to see one. So yeah, that's the downside of success, I guess. But anyway, that's enough of that. Give me your story. What you been up to this?
Back from vacation, just not too long ago.
Where'd you go?
We went over to Portugal there. It was great.
Right.
And we went to, I do have to say, we went to this hotel. And it was, believe me, I can't remember the name for the life of me. But anyway, it was a beautiful hotel. And it was brand new, renovated, refurbished. Everything was immaculate, beautiful. But that even included the hotel room. Fantastic, beautiful. But the sheets were brand new. And
extra starch.
Well, what happened was, like, when you're sleeping at nighttime, the sheets are so brand new. I'm not complaining. It's just that it was, when you're moving around, it takes me a while to fall asleep. I got to toss and turn and move around to get comfortable.
Yeah.
And every time I move, these sheets are like, I'm like, oh, I can't get to sleep with these sheets, right? Like they're so starchy and stiff, right?
Yeah.
You know that urban myth thing or, urban legend kind of, where they say Cheese Whiz that you spread on your toast, Cheese Whiz, was one molecule away from being a grocery plastic bag. Yeah. Remember those, like that story?
Yeah.
These sheets were like one starch molecule away from being like Bristol board.
Like sleeping under Melba toast, right?
Yeah. And it was, Bristol board, like when you're a kid, you had a science fair project, right? And you had to go to like, the only place that had Bristol board was like Shoppers Drug Mart. You had Dollaramas back then, right? And then you get there and it's like, every kid in your class has been there to grab the first 25 boards, and now you're left with like neon orange Bristol board. Now that's your project.
With a sticker on the side.
So anyway, that's what it was. And I'm just,
that's hilarious. Like the frozen over a frozen line in the wintertime when you hang a shirt up or whatever and you bring it in and smash it on the table.
So that was I had sleepless nights. But anyway,
and who tucks? Like, what's with the tuck? Like, why do they like ram it right under the mattress so that it's so tight that it cuts off your circulation if you're like,
I can't stand
like
that.
in the middle of the night you're trying to kick it. It's like, ugh.
I have to pull the corners in.
It drives me crazy.
I got to kick up the blankets.
I guess it looks nice,
home.
But
anyway. So my message for every housekeeping department of every hotel: don't be neon orange Bristol board. That's my public service announcement.
Well said.
Okay. So what we're going to do, we are going to move on to our guest here, and I'm actually really excited. He's a friend of mine. He's a very interesting guy, and I would like to sort of get talking to him sooner than later. So here we go. Today we are speaking with our celebrated creative leader, producer, consultant, and educator with more than 30 years of experience in animation and media. He has spearheaded major projects for Nelvana, Pipeline Studios, PBS Kids, Nickelodeon, and Netflix, including the SpongeBob feature, Saving Bikini Bottom, the Sandy Cheeks movie. He has produced and directed music videos for Canadian legends Kim Mitchell and Big Sugar, as well as American icon and Rock and Roll Hall of Famer Sammy Hagar, former lead singer of Van Halen. A triple graduate of Sheridan College, Darin holds a first-class honors master degree with a focus on design psychology. He now supports studios in creating content that resonate deeply with audience, audiences. And Darin has also, he teaches at 5 Canadian leading animation programs. He also creates and directs Sammy Hagar's unofficial podcast, which reaches listeners in over 50 countries, celebrating the Red Rocker lifestyle and the spirit of creative passion. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Darin Bristow. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Joe.
That is a grocery list of credentials.
It is a grocery list.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Wow.
And hold on, we got to touch on design psychology. What is that? So like when designers want to like kill themselves, you talk them off the ledge, or what are we talking?
That's part of it. That's part. No, I think it's part of educating. So design psychology. So a lot of the shows I worked on were preschool demographic, and preschoolers, because of their cognitive abilities haven't quite developed yet. When you try to, a lot of these projects are $10-15 million. So if you're launching that endeavor that expensive, I realized throughout the process there is a lot of finger crossing. Like I hope this is going to work, or there's a luck component, which kind of triggered me to do a master's. And like, hey, for this, instead of focus testing kids who change their mind every 5 minutes, why don't we just kind of get inside their brains and find out what they really engage with shape-wise, color-wise, style-wise, so we can bake those things in to eliminate luck. Right? It's tough, as you know, Gary, being in animation, launching these projects, cutting through the clutter, as we say, could be difficult, right?
Oh, yeah.
So instead of trying to leave that to an element of luck or the component of luck that is in the equation, let's remove that completely and try and get these things in there that kind of help it, right?
Yeah. So everybody hopes for a hit. Right.
Yes.
And if you can kind of maybe a bit more calculated with that, then you can.
That's exactly. You said it better. So it's basically helping make it be more of a calculated risk. I mean, the idea is that for kids shows, it's kind of boils down to like big heads with big eyes and bright colors, right?
Yeah,
right.
But it's much deeper than that. And we talked, off camera about how deep you can go into the rabbit hole of design and music and.
It's amazing. No matter what industry it is, there's always some really big thing that's happening behind it. That's something I would have never thought of, but you're absolutely right. Yeah, I guess you got to understand the psychology of children to really get that.
Especially with preschoolers, because we have focus testing techniques, but they're not quite reliable because, like I said, you could show 2 different character designs to a kid, ask which one they like better, and they're like, 1 minute it's this one, come back with the same 2, and they're like, this one.
Right.
Yeah,
so it's really, it kind of again, there's so many stakeholders and so much money and time involved.
Sure. It's big business.
Let's make sure that we're doing everything we can. So that's what I've been kind of doing. I took my master's and been kind of
that's cool.
Consulting with studios to kind of, behind off the stage sometimes, just to kind of make sure like, hey, maybe you do more of this or do less of that, just to kind of make sure it's engagement, right?
Some of the thinking behind some of our favorite projects as, for kids. And that's really interesting as to what's behind all that, right?
Yeah.
So let's go, what's behind you? Let's bring it back to, hit the rewind button here and go back to when you were younger. So where did you grow up? What was your family life like? What was your childhood?
Well, I grew up in London, Ontario. So it was, far away from here. Toronto was, we didn't get city TV till like 1987. So like Toronto was this far away land, right? But, I'm a product of the 70s and 80s, right? So it's, it was comic books and movies. And, of course, Star Wars hit like a nuclear bomb. And so it was that. So it was pop culture in a way, right? But I guess I just had an affinity for drawing, I guess. My father was a draftsman and taught drafting in school. My mom was a teacher. So my mom would sit with me and she would draw a little bit, but then my dad would show me how to draw. So it kind of lit the fuse for, I guess drawing was my pathway, my entryway to
your pathway down
the creative path, I guess.
Right. Who was your childhood kind of role model? Who would you have looked up to? What made a big impression on you?
Well, first it was Han Solo. I think,
of course,
everybody, but that's not really the creative endeavor, and it took me a long time to understand or grapple with that. That guy whose Han Solo was also Indiana Jones. That really kind of blew so that kind of opened the door to like, oh, this is a profession. You could go do that somehow.
Right. So what got you into music then?
I think it was kind of the same. Someone slipped me a tape. I had a friend, childhood friend, who was playing bass, and he liked Iron Maiden.
Right on.
And of course, trying to play Iron Maiden. So he'd say, you should get a guitar, we'll play Iron Maiden together. Yeah. Which, okay. So I got a guitar, and I'm like trying to listen to him play bass, and I'm like, this is great, but I'm like, it wasn't really speaking to me, right? So then he said, I like blues, because I saw the movie The Blues Brothers. I like Steve Cropper, right? And so he goes, maybe you'll like this, and he slipped me a tape of Van Halen. And I was like, okay, this is like blues, but like it's like nuclear.
Talk about a nuclear bomb.
Yeah, it's like, wow, this is what is this stuff? It's like it sounds like 10 people playing, right?
Especially that, like, because you're probably talking Van Halen 1 with Eruption, and that was like a
nuclear warhead,
atomic bomb
100%.
for my childhood. Like I remember going, what is that sound?
But I also like the Blues Brothers. I love. There's a visual element that I always gravitated to. Right?
Well, it makes sense, yeah.
And Van Halen kind of had that visual element. You know, I like Sammy Hagar, so he's got that. He had a soulful. His favorite singer was all the soul singers that he liked, right? So it was like this soulful voice paired up with this nuclear warhead guitar playing.
Yeah.
But they looked like they were having fun.
They
and there was
were,
a visual element that I felt like there's a lot of bands. I won't slag other bands, but they seemed so serious.
Yeah.
And these guys were running around.
It was a party.
Jumping, and I'm like, these guys are like superheroes with no capes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, so I was on board.
It's crazy. Yeah.
No,
hey,
I
wait,
get it.
before we get any further, Trace, what is happening here?
Yeah, this is a surprise. What's going on here?
Well, as you guys were talking, I thought you might want to sip on some of the 2022 Pinot Noir. We won't talk about it anymore until later during the food section, but for now, cheers.
Wow.
Well, okay, this is...
All right.
All right.
Cheers, boys.
Now we can
Glass,
talk
man.
about my childhood. Oh,
Yeah, no.
thanks. Cheers.
Cheers.
As I go with dead air. Okay.
Wow. That's amazing.
Whoa, that is nice.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you.
Okay.
There's a story to that.
All
but
right.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that later.
we'll
Let's
save that for later.
Let's get back to this.
So, okay, so then for music, how do you get into like obviously you spoke to the visual arts kind of thing, but how did that kind of approach go into animation in terms of making things move?
So I was lucky enough to be born in a town that had an animation high school. It was a technical school.
Oh my God. That's
Really?
cool.
And a lot of actually Disney animators actually went to the school.
I did not
I
know
found
that.
out that much later. But it was on the other side of town. So after, when it got to grade 8, grade 9, my parents put me on a bus to, left all my friends behind. I went to another school completely, and I was exposed to all the creative arts. They had animation, they had textiles, they had filmmaking, lithography. So I was exposed to everything.
Wow. At what age was this?
Guess what grade 9 would be, 14,
So high
15,
school,
16?
then you're
Yeah,
into
it's
high
high school. So it was like, wow. And then I found out
fantastic.
that some Disney animators, like Nick Raniere, Chuck Gamage, had gone to the school. And I'm like, wow, okay, so this far away Hollywood place. And also to bring it back to Toronto, I was raised on TVO Saturday Night at the Movies with Elway Yost, right?
Elway Yost,
Oh my God,
yeah.
Magic
yeah.
Shadows.
Magic Shadow. So I'm like, so this far away
Oh my
Toronto
God.
place.
My dad loved Elway Yost, man. It was like
And
That's
far
a
away
very
Hollywood, like,
uncommon reference.
this could actually be a thing, right?
Yeah.
Because I really not really paid attention. Like I wanted to go run around and play Indiana Jones outside, but my friends wanted to stay inside and draw, and I'm like, okay. And I guess at some point my parents leaned over and said, hey, maybe there's a pursuit you could take here. So my dad actually took me over to the mall. I wanted to work for Mad Magazine.
Oh, good
to be
on your
honest.
parents.
That's right. I wanted to work for
I used
Mad
to collect
Magazine.
those too. Those are great.
That's great.
And my dad took
Yeah.
me over to the mall, and he set up we rented a table in the mall, and I would do caricatures. Right?
Really?
Oh,
And
neat.
I kind of found like I was good at it. I was
Yeah.
scared to death doing it. But I think that gave me some confidence, but also someone gave me money. I'm like, oh, so I could make,
Yeah.
someone's going to pay me I seem to be good at this or have some sort of talent. So that's the first piece of kind of giving you some confidence, like this is something that could be a worthy pursuit, right?
Wow.
That's what happened.
That's cool. That's a nice sort of way to start your path, though, is like doing the things that you like, but then, hey, there's money involved? Wait a second.
Well,
You know what I mean?
then it became, well, of all the arts I was exposed to, caricatures, where does it fit closest to? Textiles? No. Animation. Oh, okay. Now there's a match.
And in just a moment, we'll be right back. Let's get back to the show. Actually, I think I remember this. I think, if my memory serves me correctly, when over at the chorus building, when we had celebrities kind of come in, right? I think I remember correctly here where you would, if whatever celebrity came to town, you would whip up a caricature of them, right? And you would get that signed. You had something to walk in with and say, hey, can you sign this?
So that was kind of
and
the
I'm
second
like, that was a great idea.
What a good idea.
Great angle to come
That's
at
a good
it.
idea, yeah.
And we talked, off camera before about trying to find an angle or unique voice. So I mean, maybe not really cognizant of that at the time, but maybe that would be my voice or angle. My unique angle would be caricature. So yeah, every time, I guess my love of music, whenever a band came through Sheridan, like Big Sugar came through there,
Yep.
or Eddie Van Halen came to Toronto and did a signing at Sam the Record Man. So that was step number 2, a big part. I took a caricature of the band to there.
Oh,
And when
that's
I
cool.
presented it to the band, I was 100 miles from where Eddie was signing it. He stands up and goes, "Who did this?" And I'm
Wow,
like,
that's really cool.
Yeah.
and he's like, "You come over here." So I went over and he's like, "Did you do this?" And I'm like, "Yes." and he said, I want this. Can you send these to me? And I was like gobsmacked. But then I put it together like, hey, this is this. If he could, if my
Did
hero,
you send that to him?
I did.
So he has that.
Well, he had a whole bunch of handlers and stuff, right?
Sure,
So
sure,
he
yeah.
snapped his finger, and this person in the three-piece suit came over and said, and they were from Warner Brothers, and so Eddie goes to me, you give your stuff to this guy, and he'll make sure I get it, man. And then
Wow.
he put me in a headlock and took a photo.
That is
And in
so
the photo,
awesome.
I went with one of my best friends, and he's smiling because he's happy too. I was like deer in the headlights because I'm like, is this really all happening to me, right?
That's insane. What a cool
So
story.
he said, can you bring this? So when he invited me back, when they came back later that summer, I put that same drawing on T-shirts and gave it to him. Back there, and he remembered that. So I'm like, wow, okay, maybe I could use this skill I have to do things that kind of combine my creative pursuits. The funny story there is that I made the shirts, and you never know what happens because you give these things to their handlers, and you never see what happens.
Yeah.
2 weeks ago, I was searching for something about Eddie Van Halen, and I'm looking for something specific about him, and I see him in a shirt, and it's that drawing.
No kidding.
So almost 3 decades later, I found the answer. That
You're
he did wear the
kidding
shirt
me.
that I had.
That is so cool.
It was just like, wow.
Do you have that picture?
I do. Unfortunately, I'm not in it. He's with some guy who lives in Virginia.
But still, just seeing him.
He's wearing your shirt.
It was the stop after Toronto. They went to Virginia. Because I went and looked. I'm like, where did they go after Toronto? Virginia. He's a cosmetic surgeon who lives in Virginia. So he's with Eddie, and Eddie's wearing that shirt that I made.
That's incredible.
Amazing.
And if you look really close, my name's at the very, because I always put my name on it, because if they want to get a hold of me, here's how you find me, right?
Right.
You can see my name kind of blurry at the very bottom, but like it took almost 3 decades for me to like, I guess these guys do keep this stuff.
That is
they've been given, right?
fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
So
So
cool.
what's okay?
That
so
was the path.
So when you talk in music, you're talking art. How do they come together? How? Because we've talked about this over the years in terms of the parallels between music and art. And I know how I interpret it, but I'd love to hear how you interpret that.
So how they kind of connect and intersect, you mean, or
Yeah, what's the
Yeah.
overlap, right?
How do they come together, or do they come together? Like
I think it's
I just-
all. I think it's all like the creative pursuits. That's where the animated spirit of the world resides, man. And once you find something that grips you, and you pursue it to the very bottom, that's where you find how everything's connected, and it can orient you upwards and help you become maybe a person who's a standout in the field. So for me, it was like it's an expression. Basically, it's just an expression of how you're thinking or how you're feeling or how you interpret something, whether it's through a pen or a paintbrush or a guitar.
Yeah.
Can I truly capture what's in my head, my heart, and my spirit at that moment? Hopefully,
Very
right
cool.
there, and not like, oh, I was close. You're always trying to search for that. Like, was I fighting at the weight class above me just that one time, right?
Yeah.
Because usually as artists, we're very critical when we look in the rearview mirror, like, oh, I want to change that, or you're trying to hopefully gather up a few of those events in your course of your career, I guess, where you're like, wow, it all came together once, right there, or twice.
That's what I think a lot of young artists don't understand, and kind of what I'm learning now is the more opportunities I have to talk to high-level artists in all fields, and I don't just mean artists, I mean chefs, comedians, actors, like when you start really talking, even business guys, like everybody, when you start really drilling into somebody who's achieved a high level at anything, there's a commonality, there's a common thread. They talk about a different thing, but you could insert certain key moments where a driver that made someone go, wow, I'm going to be amazing at this, and they go,
and then we talk about this before off
fascinating.
camera, like there's some sort of hopefully external validation that says, hey, what you do have to offer is something that could be a contribution to this endeavor. There's a little space for me. Awesome.
Yeah.
So it's trying to perpetuate that, but also, the artist's journey is like, how can I keep getting better? Or what don't I know yet, right? How can I keep going and go to that next level? So with art, it's always about the drawing or painting. And for me, with music, it was kind of both those things. So I just tried to find ways to kind of intersect them both. And it's, doing a caricature is kind of a fast and easy way to meet one of your heroes, right?
Sure, no kidding.
Yeah, I made this for you.
I thought that was genius.
This way. I made
right
this
away.
for you.
Quick
Fantastic.
caricature. Now I have something to go in with, right?
Well, I'm not sure about quick, man. Sometimes it's like, damn, I didn't quite get it. But they're right here, so I have to get it to them.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's like you got to make decisions, right? Like artistic decisions.
Very cool.
Now you talk about reaching that next level. Now you've kind of created or collaborated with guys that are on those next levels, right? I'm thinking of Kim Mitchell in terms of a national treasure here in Canada, and then also you've worked with Sammy Hagar, obviously too.
So that, to me, that's all an extension of the table at the mall
I guess so.
Giving something to Eddie. So what happened was because you and I both worked at Chorus, Kim Mitchell was in the building as the DJ at that point, right? And he's always been one of my heroes as well, right? And I always thought he was the singer. I didn't really realize he was also the guitar player. Yeah. I thought his voice was fantastic. Now, if you ask him about his voice, he's like, I'm not a singer, right?
Right.
Well, I thought his voice was great. But when I discovered his guitar playing, that was another voice I thought was that gravitated me. So when he's sitting here at Q107 and I'm walking in every day, I'm like, we should be friends. So I don't know if I really had a choice, but I kind of befriended him.
Right.
And I bring guitars and we talk gear, and I think he's like, this guy's on the level, right?
Right.
And then when I did the Sammy Hagar video, which was just because I sent an email. Sometimes you just got to ask, right? Like
sometimes it doesn't hurt.
Sometimes you just ask it.
Yeah. Worst they can say is no.
Exactly. So you got to take that. We talked about risk, right? There's no reward if you don't do anything. So if I didn't bring that drawing downtown here at Sam the Record Man, nothing would have happened, right? So at least I tried. Anyway, so I saw Kim and he said, hey, I saw that video you did for Sammy. Like, can you do live action as well?
What video was it?
Yes.
What song? What song was that?
Well, the first thing he wanted to make like an EPK press kit, electronic press kit video that kind of refreshed his touring, him and his band. He had a new band and
like
his
a promotional thing.
Promotional video. Right? So it started with that, right? Because he actually wanted to do animation because he saw the Sammy animated video, and I said, well, look, that came together once in a lifetime very quickly. It just happened. I happened to have an idea and a storyboard. Animation can be very expensive and time consuming. When do you need this thing, right? So there's always a restriction in art usually where you have to work to, right? And sometimes that can help. Like I love demo songs sometimes better than the polished studio one, right? There's an energy that's captured, right? So he said, I said, what about live action? He said, oh, well, can you do live action? Of course I can.
Of course you can. I do that. Yeah.
Sometimes it's that, right? Sometimes it's like if noticing an opportunity that might be presented in front of you. I don't recommend lying. I'm not suggesting lie, but I was
but if you know you can do it.
I think I could figure it out, or at least pull together a team of people that we could work together and figure this out. And I suggested something live action. So that kind of opened the door to live action. I said, look, nowadays with these digital tools and cameras on phones, like we don't have to spend $500,000. Because I said to him, why haven't you done a video or anything lately? And he's like, oh, it's crazy expensive. And I said, well, look, no, there's ways we can do this. It'll look like it's expensive, but it won't be expensive.
Right.
And I think I know how to tread the line so it doesn't come across. I would never put you in a light that would,
of course,
misrepresent you or tarnish your brand in any way. Don't worry, I got you covered.
As a fan, as someone that admires what he does, for sure, you want to shine that light on.
So I got you covered, right? So I think he started for him was kind of testing me with this EPK, right? Like could I film him or capture him in something that looked professional? And if that worked out, maybe it could lead to a video or something, because he was working on another album at the same time, which I didn't know about, right? So that begat like, hey, you did an okay job on this. Why don't we collaborate on some videos? So it kind of became this like where he'd have an idea, or he'd present me the song or a rough demo of the song, and I'd say, what's your vision for the song?
Yep.
We'd kick it around a little bit because I like collaborating. I don't like working by myself. I like to collaborate because I feel like I'm a builder. I'm not the person that has like the startup idea, but if you present something, I'll be like, oh, what would make that even better?
Right.
That thing. So I kick into gear on that second component, right?
Yeah.
So he would present a song idea or the song, and I'd say I try to interpret it. And sometimes, a songwriter is like, even though lyrics are suggesting this, it's actually about that.
Yes.
Right.
And that happens,
So sometimes you're trying to juggle both those together, and we'd come up with an idea. He'd approve it, or maybe we'd say, let's try a different one, and off we go.
That's got to be a really fine line too, because there's a fine line between genius and cheese. Like those videos where it's like, I'm going out, and they're actually like getting ready to go out. Like you can't really tell the story.
Every 80s heavy metal,
exactly
video from.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
so we had that conversation. We had that. Yeah, that's a great
it's really
insight,
tough.
And that's 100%. So we had that conversation at the get-go, and I said to him, like, do you want? I'm a fan of yours, but I felt like at this point we're kind of becoming friends or colleagues. Mm-hmm. So I said, do you want me to tell you when I think there's something that I don't think you should do? So he said yes, which I thought was a validation of like, hey, I trust you. Right?
Yeah.
So I basically, for the last maybe 10 years, we had a collaboration. We'd flip me an idea for a song, and we'd come together for an idea, and then off, renegade. That's again, cool. Restrictions, right? Like, let's just put this together. We got to shoot it today. And
the reason I was asking you what song it was is because a friend of ours, Ross Corindia.
Yeah.
He was, remember I Am a Wild Party, that video?
Of course.
Remember the chicken guy dressed as a chicken running around? That's my buddy
him?
Ross.
That's awesome.
That was his claim to fame. He was the chicken in
Full
the
circle, man.
I Am a Wild Party
That's great.
video. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah,
So that's a
sure.
great point. So Kim also said, it's been a long time since that vibe and that look. I want to create what's a different vibe that we can come out with that's still a Kim Mitchell vibe, but like we're not doing the spandex thing.
So a bit more mature, I guess.
Right.
In
Yeah.
terms of-
So it was about finding that together. Like, what would that be?
Well, it's hard for an artist too. Like I saw Kim play at the Key to Bala just recently, like it must have been a month ago. And it's the first time I've seen Kim live in a long, long time. I went to dozens of Kim Mitchell shows back in the day, the spandex day and the OPP hat and all that stuff. But, as a person ages, it's kind of like David Lee Roth and all these guys. It's like they can't keep doing that. As you can see it in them. That it's like he wants to stick to his branding, but at the same time, it's a young man's brand.
Yep.
How does a young brand turned into an older brand? And the thing I loved seeing the most was when we saw him when he was young, he played the songs kind of verbatim, like they were very close to the recordings and all that stuff. When I saw him here, he looked like just an absolute veteran. He was like ad-libbing. They were extending parts and doing big solos.
That's
and
right.
like totally changing everything. And I was like, I would expect no less. I'm a huge Kim Mitchell fan. He is one of my absolute favorites. He, like you said, he's a treasure for Canada. But to see him mature like that just reinforces what I always felt of him, and that he's a monster
Totally
talent.
agreed.
He really is a
And
real next level.
his playing is unbelievable.
He's
fantastic,
unbelievable.
right?
Yeah.
That was my
Huge.
pitch to him. I said, "You're Canada's Eddie Van Halen, man. Like, we should do something together."
He is, because like Alex is Alex, but it's like Kim was fun. Kim had he had comedy in his playing, in his writing, in his stuff. There was always a smile and a smirk and so he played
just
like
the lyrics too. Are
really
well.
awesome heavy shit, but there was a wink. And Eddie played like that too. It was
know
always
what?
like
That's-
character and the big smile. And,
That's probably why
Yeah.
I gravitated towards.
Yeah,
it
I
back
love-
then. There's
I
a little
love
bit.
it.
I'm a big fan of self-depreciating humor, right? So
Yep.
there's always that kind of nink and a nod to.
Sure.
We're all having fun here, right?
That's
So-
entertainment.
I remember I saw him live too. Sorry, I won't go on about this, but I was like about 18, and this kind of just blew my head open as a guitar player. He was playing one of his tunes, and then there was just this one line where he just played every wrong note imaginable down the neck. He just went, and then and I was just like, oh my God, it was so artistic and funny and cool. And it was like, he showed me that any note is available to you if you're trying to say a thing. And it just that connection between what's inside and what's outside, I think, as any artist trying to get it from the inside to the outside is the challenge. And
100%.
seeing somebody do it like that was really eye-opening for me.
And right around the same time, I was actually starting a band myself, and I said, "Kim, any tips?" And he said, "Well, if you make a mistake, play it 3 times and call it jazz." And it worked.
That's a common
thanks,
theme.
Kim.
Right? Like we've heard this a few times.
Yeah, it's true.
And it is true. Just do it with conviction.
Make it sound like you meant it.
Yeah, and it becomes something, right?
Well, our first gig, we played at a pub in Hamilton, and we get there, and our name of our band was Soul Shaker Blues Band. And we get there, and it says, "Tonight only, a special chicken dinner and Soul Shaker."
Puppet
I said,
show
"Look,
and
Spinal
Spinal
Tap.
Tap.
So I
Yeah.
texted him and said, "Hey," I said, "Kim, I'm opening for a chicken dinner tonight.
Yeah.
Got to start somewhere, kid."
That's awesome. Now, okay, we've talked about Kim Mitchell. What about Sammy Hagar?
So the Sammy Hagar, so the video I did, he was in a band called Chickenfoot.
Right.
Which was half Van
Great
Halen,
band.
half Chili Peppers, right? So it's Joe Satriani on guitar, Chad Smith on drums, and of course Michael Anthony. So his half of Van Halen in that band, which is an incredible band. So I kind of left Van Halen for a while, right? When they had a lot of turbulent years in the 2000s. I was like, moved away from that. But then they released this Chickenfoot album, and it was to me as strong, if not stronger, as a Van Halen album. It's
a great album.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
There's incredible playing on it, right? So I was just so inspired. I'm like, what do I have at my disposal to what's the new variation of the caricature that I have? Hey, I know how to use this animation software that not many people know how to use, and it's cutting edge, and it's right at my hands here. So I emailed his website and said, "Hey, you should do a music." There's an art to the ask, as I'm sure you know, right?
Oh, yeah. You have to kind
Don't make it long. Just
Right.
get to the point. So I sent very truncated email saying, "You should do a video You can look any age you want in animation, and I know how to use the software that gets it done, right? And you know, you just fire things off, or sometimes you, who knows? And sometimes you don't hear anything back, and sometimes you do. So I heard back from his management, and
that would have been cool.
They said, "Hey, we're coming through town over here, the government or the docks, right at that point."
Yeah.
And he said, "Why don't you hang around after the show and show us your stuff?" Right. So we did. I did. Came down there, pitched them. I had a whole storyboard idea, and I know how everything works. So I created an idea that's very vague, very loose. I had an idea for the song I thought it would work well with, but I also made it very loose so that if they said, you know, that's not the next song we want to do, it's this one, you could just pick up the whole idea and drop it on it. Right. So that was the producer side of my head, right?
Yeah.
Don't make it too
work with efficiencies.
Specific.
Yeah.
Let's just. So he said, meet us at the Four Seasons. So I left the show early. I'm in the Four Seasons with my wife, my laptop shaking because I'm like, is this really going to happen?
Right.
A stretched Hummer shows up, and they all roll out. Chad Smith is drumming on the concierge and the walls. He was like a crazy man. So he vanished. Michael and Anthony walks past and just goes like this. And then Satriani does his thing, goes off. He's very quiet. And then Sammy's manager came in, and his name was Carter. And he's known in the industry as the guy who kind of relaunched Tina Turner's career.
Oh, cool.
80s. And he was the head of Capitol Records at one point and actually signed Sammy in the mid-'70s. So Sammy comes in with him, and I'm like trying to say something to Sammy. He ends up talking to my wife. So I sit down with Carter, and I told him I was, and I showed him what I had. And he's like, okay, and we just shook hands. Because he was a handshake type of guy, right? I'm a man of my word too, right?
Sure.
That's all you have is your word, your reputation. So we shook hands, and off we went. And I had a lot of the stuff already put together. So we happened to get this video done because they said, yeah, sure enough, what I thought was going to happen happened. It's not the song you wanted to do because that song was like 7.5 minutes. It's going to be this one. And I said, well, look, you want this in like half an hour pretty much. Can you give me an edit? So they quickly did a quick 2-minute edit, and we pulled it off really quick, right? So from that, Sammy, I ended up doing some shirts and some like lanyards. And he invited me to one of his birthday bashes when he has a cantina in Cabo, San Lucas. He invited me to the it was the 30th anniversary of that cantina.
Please tell me you went.
You're like, damn right. I can't remember it. No idea. But yeah, so that was, again, it was like, hey, just a guy from a small town. I'm not the greatest of artists, I'm not the greatest of musicians, but I've kind of intertwined my passions and kind of found a niche where I can kind of pull things together, right? So then his manager died, unfortunately, right? And you don't just text Sammy.
Yeah.
Right? So his manager passed away, and he was a great, fantastic guy. He passes away, so I kind of lost touch of that. And then a couple years ago, I'm like, maybe I should start a podcast. Maybe a podcast.
I was just going to ask you
back
this,
into the loop, right? So I'm like, let me take a look. And of course, there's a lot of great Van Halen podcasts, and there's an awesome David Lee Roth podcast. I'm like, hey, wait, there's no Sammy podcast. How can that be, right? So I'm like, okay, here goes the flag. So then I connected with through my neighbor, connected me to my co-host Brent, and he said you should meet my friend. He's a huge fan, right? And we had opposing because I wanted to have a co-host or a partner who we could riff.
Yeah.
Hey,
right.
I didn't want to have the same.
I heard that word before. Yeah.
No, who wants to hear people agree for half an hour, right?
Yeah.
So he and I kind of opposing ideas. So I'm like, okay, let's do this, right? And the idea was just like, let's see, just to have fun and see where it went. But sure enough, Sammy started listening, right? And he invited us to the Fillmore to record one of our episodes as he was launching a line of beer that he has. And that's kind of where...
Which just so happens to be right here.
Hey, look at that.
And so
Red Rocker Lager.
So
Red
yeah,
Rocker.
I mean, and now he's a listener. He, at the odd time, sends us some guests and flips things our way, a comment or... But really, it's the fun of just analyzing his work. He's also kind of like he's a foodie. So he was a great, another, I guess, role model or someone who inspired me because he's very passionate about what he does, even at age almost 80. The guy's
Wow,
still-
I know.
Yeah, he's older than people think.
Yeah.
But he's still doing great, and he was older than the rest of the Van Halen
he was
guys.
almost a decade older.
Yeah.
Well, geez,
But yeah, he's like a
mantras,
foodie, right?
yeah.
So he's got a lot of stuff. He's like the hard rock Jimmy Buffett. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about.
It's true.
Right?
That's exactly right.
So I like
way to put
Buffett.
it.
No slam on
He
Buffett.
did this too, right?
But Sammy's heavier, right? So
also did
there's a lot
this.
of stuff to talk about. So we talk about food. We talk about his line of alcohol, his music, obviously, and him. He's a very passionate guy, right?
Yeah.
Give us a little short update on what this is.
Well, so Sammy, he was one of the very first artists to come out with a very high-end tequila. Like now it's kind of common day where they, George Clooney and
The Rock.
The celebrities have
Sammy
their
was one of the
drinks,
very first guys, and it was born out of a Van Halen song called Cabo Wabo because he had a cantina in Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. So he created Cabo Wabo tequila, and it was only small batch. And you don't shoot this stuff because it's like a fine wine, right? And that took off. Small batches went to massive batches, and it was bought out by Grupo Campari for like $100 million. So he took that money, and then he started this with Guy Fieri. It's called Santos. So it's kind of like the second generation, but it's very high quality.
This is high-end tequila.
It's very dangerous.
Yeah.
Very dangerous.
This isn't frat boy
Handled with care.
swilling tequila. Like,
No.
But it's great, and it's a food. So again, it's about the creativity of like what food and beverage, when mixed together, can trigger
It's
ideas.
about time tequila got some love too, because for a long time it was just treated as like sort of antifreeze and the stuff you do. Like I remember it was one of the first ones I hated it, but I could do it as a young person. It would like make the night a lot of fun and all
100%.
that stuff. But it was literally painful to get it done.
Oh, yeah.
But I always liked it, and now they're delicious. Like it's. I love that developed because it was somebody went, we can do better on this, and
it's we were talking about Joe Bonamassa off camera. It's kind of like the Joe Bonamassa, like let's put this in a suit and tie,
Exactly,
and
yeah.
Upscale the brand.
Sure.
So that's exactly what.
And it
is,
worked.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, Sammy has made more money off his business deals than music.
Yes.
It's crazy, and he could have retired in the '80s.
Yeah.
So really, it is.
His book is fascinating.
Yeah, I read his book as
and
well.
so if we're going to talk about the creative spark,
Yeah.
I saw in him, as he was just happened to be in Van Halen.
Yeah.
But I saw in him something that's equally passionate and in their skill and in their trait as Eddie.
Yeah.
So it's him. He's also a very positive guy, right? I'm all about
Yeah.
being a positive person. He's a very positive guy, and at age 80, he's still pursuing that creative spark, right?
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Hey, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. And we're back. Now, you said foodie. He was a foodie. So we have a few things in front of us here that would put that into the foodie category for sure. So
This is awesome.
we like to sample things of the Toronto local fare kind of thing here on the show. So I'm going to hand it over to Tracy here to say, what are we eating?
Hey, everybody. So today you are sampling one of the best sandwich shops in the city. At the table, you've got Porchetta and Company's House Special, which is a hand-carved porchetta, truffle sauce, crackling, Parmesan, grainy mustard, Frank's Red Hot on a toasted sourdough bun. So to dive a little deeper, this is an Italian-style pork sandwich roasted at high heat to get that crunch on the outside, but juicy and tender on the inside. And I know, right?
Wow.
And the crackling, I don't know if you guys have gotten into the crunch of it yet, but the crackling refers to that caramelized, crispy crunch of the pork. Porchetta and Company is tucked inside the Exchange Tower on the concourse lower level at 130 King Street West, along the path in the Marketplace section. That's why locals know all about it, but others may just walk right past. It's literally tucked along the path. And I was talking to a guy in line when I was ordering, and he says he's there 2 to 3 times a week to pick up their OG fried chicken sandwich. So he looked like a bit of an addict, honestly. But and cheers. I chose Porchetta and Company because I wanted to highlight how the smallest places do get overlooked by people who don't know the city. And I see that you're sipping on your Pinot Noir as well. So why did I choose to serve Pinot? Well, Darin loves his California Pinots, whereas Jeremy swears by New Zealand. And since we can't get Californian wines from the LCBO right now because of, well, he who must not be named, we wanted to go get Darin's opinion on Jeremy's favorite Pinot region. And since Gary's favorite wine is beer, he can offer a whole other perspective.
Yeah, when we were in, we went on a big trip around the world, and we ended up in New Zealand. And we're kind of part-time winos, right? So, we went to California and all that stuff, and I loved all that. And so it's amazing. But I never realized really how good New Zealand is at Pinots. Like, when I was down there, they had like Shiraz, I believe, and Pinot, and there was one other that they really specialize in. But yeah, I kind of fell in love with their Pinot
This is
while I was
amazing.
down there.
This
I'm
is
like,
really
man,
good. So
it's,
New Zealand's my favorite soup. I think is Oyster Bay New Zealand.
Yeah, there's smoked oyster
I
bay.
think it is,
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that's a great one as well. I love that one. Right.
That's awesome.
This is amazing. Thank you so
The
much.
pork sandwich reminds me from our Portugal trip they do, like the pork sandwiches there, and I swear to God, they were amazing. And
That's incredible.
that is on par with any of that.
So do you have repeat guests? Is my question.
Why do you want to come
Well, I'm
back?
getting fed. And can I come back again?
Porchetta and Co. We get repeat guests.
Yeah.
There you go.
What do you think
winning
of the
combination.
sandwich, though? It's just
That's incredible.
Oh,
That's
that's
really,
a
really
great
great.
sandwich. Yeah,
So-
sure.
To put the crackle in there and is such a good idea.
Yeah.
Sourdough bread.
Yeah.
well, a bit of a confession. So I went to check out this place for the show. I ordered the house special, which is what you guys are having, and I only intended to have a couple bites because I'd eaten already. And by the time I ended up coming back through the path to the studio, I had eaten the whole sandwich.
Sometimes. Yeah, hey, I thought we ordered 4.
While we're at it here.
I should tell you what you're eating after the show, actually. So I
right.
did order. What do we got here? We are doing.
Cheers.
Sorry, I'm doing a few of their sandwiches. So the OG chicken sandwich, because that guy was, raving about it, I did get that. I got their Parmesan chicken. And they also do roasted potatoes, fries, rapini. So we're going to try all of that. And I ordered
God.
extra truffle sauce because I think that's what kicks it over the top. So
Wow.
Yeah, I can smell.
You got an
truffle.
appetite, Darin? I hope you
But
do.
you're so right. Texture. It's like a painting, right? Like, when you're pairing things, there's certain things that pair to bring out the additional underlying notes.
Right.
Oh, look at
Music.
this.
Okay, there you go. Oh my
Look
God.
at
But
this.
people forget about texture.
Right.
how is the Pinot with the porchetta?
Amazing.
Very good.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Very good.
Liking it.
But you're so right. New Zealand, right?
Yeah.
We tried to get you Cali, but
No can do.
Voldemort and all.
No, those are great. Those
Thank
are
you.
fantastic.
Yeah, that's
so
amazing.
I should talk a bit about the wine. It's a 2022 Pinot Noir from New Zealand, and I got it at the vintage section from the LCBO on Queens
Nice
Quay.
show on the
And I just thank you. And I wanted to
amazing.
shout out the LCBO on Queens Quay because this is actually the largest vintage selection in their whole network. So I don't know if you can find that at any LCBO, but they definitely have it at
I have
Queens
not
Quay.
seen it, so I'm going to think
Yeah,
people can't find it.
The
So I probably
LCBO
won't
on
have it.
Queens Quay is an awesome selection. So yeah, there you
Amazing.
have it.
Thank you.
Enjoy.
Thank you.
now, does it do the same damage as tequila?
I think you guys are going to find out after the show.
Jeez, here we go. Now, you've brought a couple of show and tell things here for us, right? Did you want to talk about your guitars here that you're collecting?
So that's the other thing. So even if I didn't play guitar, I probably want them because it's functional art.
For sure.
Right? Like the design
They're
and the
beautiful,
craftsmanship
yeah.
that goes into a lot of these. And they have stories, right? Just like the wine. They have, the same wine that came out of the, when they make it that day, the bottle after this will have a slightly different taste.
They're truly unique. Yeah.
So every guitar, even if it comes off the factory line, has a slightly different thing. And some have mojo
Yeah.
and some don't.
And people forget they're made out of wood, and wood is different
Yeah,
because
it's
the knot
organic,
pattern
right?
and
Yeah.
flow.
It could be the glue they used that day,
Yeah.
who was putting it together, or where that tree was.
Yep.
So they have a life, right? Just like wine. So I brought a Kramer guitar, which is a replica of a Sammy Hagar guitar, which I was lucky enough to have him sign when they invited Brent and I to do an episode of our podcast at the Fillmore. He signed that for me that day, Sammy did. And then the other one here behind me is Eddie Van Halen was with several guitar companies over the course of his life. He started off with music man Ernie Ball, and then he switched over to PV, and then he went on to he created the EVH brand under the Fender name. This one behind me, as he was leaving PV, he didn't like rosewood necks, and there were certain finishes and colors and grains he didn't play or endorse necessarily. So they had all these crazy bodies and stuff left around. So this one behind me is called a PV Wolfgang Eddie Van Halen, but it's called a Vault series because it's parts and pieces of stuff like a rosewood neck that he didn't use, right? So there's about 300 around. So I found one, but I thought I'd bring it just because just looking at it, it's a beautiful instrument, right?
Yeah.
They're amazing. Yeah.
And they have their own voice,
They
just
do.
like artists do, right?
Yeah, they do.
That's amazing. I mean, those are quite collectible things. They're nice.
I try to hoard them. I try to hoard as many guitars.
And it is when, as soon as you took it out of the case, when I saw it earlier, it is a piece of art on its own. Like they are a beautiful thing to look at. They're really, and I'm not even a guitar player, but I can appreciate that is a beautiful looking guitar.
Yeah.
You know what went into it, the craft.
And I have a lot of guitars, right? I have a lot.
Yeah. I'm sure you do.
But they're not all like this. I have some that are $100.
Yeah.
They look unique or they sound unique.
Yep.
And it doesn't. To me, I don't know how you feel about tone, but I feel much of it comes from your fingers,
Yes.
from your head, from your heart.
Yeah.
fingers to the wire.
Most of it comes from
I have some guitars are $200 that sound amazing. Like I brought some expensive guitar, or what would someone would consider an expensive guitar to a jam or a gig night. No one says a word. I bring the crappy $200 guitar. That's the night where someone's like, how did you get that to sound like that? And I'm like, really?
Yeah, I always remember one of the things that changed my mind, like, you're young, you hear all this stuff, tone wood and like different, like, the body shape. And if you cut the horn off, it changes the tone and all this stuff. And it's like, I remember hearing, it floated around in the early days of the internet. Somebody had a cassette recording of Eddie Van Halen giving a guitar lesson to somebody. He didn't give lessons, but somebody saw him backstage and just recorded, and Eddie was just like, I don't know who it was. It must have been a kid or something. He was helping him. But he was playing his guitar unamplified, like you could hear the guitar, not the sound of his amp. And everyone's always like, oh, Eddie, all the distortion and all the stuff, he needs his amps and all that stuff. But he's shredding on this like acoustic but electric, and it sounded exactly like Eddie Van Halen. Yeah. Like you could tell instantaneously that that's Eddie Van Halen, and there was no distortion, there was no sound, so it's like his sound came from him, from his hands, from his pick, from the way he attacked it, from the way, like, it kind of really altered how I perceived that whole argument of tone and should I get a better guitar? Do I need to spend a lot of money?
What's
on
my
guitar?
voice, right? What's my voice?
Right. Like, you're better to just honestly just work on your stuff.
Yeah.
It's more fun to buy a guitar and go, this is going to help me. But, in the end of the day, you got to put the hours in, or it's just never.
I guess like any of the creative endeavors, it is a journey where you don't want to get to the end too quickly and be like, oh, you're trying to always, I guess, fumble upwards to that new thing. We talked about happy accidents, right? Like, oh, I played a random note that I didn't think I should have played, but that sounded amazing.
Yeah.
I should do more stuff like that, right? Yeah. So those are the tools that can help you find your voice, right? Or a specific approach or a software.
Well, listen, I'm looking at the time here, and I don't want to take up too much of your time, but thank you very, very much for coming down today.
That was really great.
This was a blast.
Yeah,
can I ask one question to both of you?
Sure.
Absolutely.
So when are you both going to be the topic of this podcast? Because the creative skills.
We run the show. We aren't the show in terms of
the creative skills that you both have.
Of.
I did my research on. I knew you, right? But I looked into what you do and like the creative skills and passions and adventures that you've had. Like, I want to hear about that. So.
Well, thank you.
I agree with Darin.
Yeah.
We'll do that on like the laundry day of the show when we don't have a guest, and we'll just kind of like, well, Jared, what do you do? And you can ask me what I do, and we can do it that way. How's that?
We'll do our best.
Awesome. Thanks. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, listen, and your Sammy Hagar podcast.
So it's called The Bogus Odor Show. He's got a tattoo of this chicken on his arm, which is a bad decision he did when he's a very young man.
Yep.
That's the name of the show. It's basically everything about Sammy. We call it 9 Degrees of Sammy Hagar. So I do it with my friend Brent, who's the VP of Operations for the Sound of Music Festival. Mm-hmm. So he and I riff. Sorry, is that trademarked?
Ding ding ding. If this could be a ding 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 sound effect.
We talk about we talk about food. We talk about Sammy's wines, his tequila, his beer, obviously the music, his life, and then anything that's connected. So anybody he's met, spoke about, worked with, obviously.
Cover it all.
That's what we talk about.
Okay. Yeah. And how can people get a hold of you or find you?
Right now we have the Bogus Odor Show Facebook page. I usually just do any of my consulting work through my LinkedIn page right now. Yep. I have a business name that I'm just developing to see which one it's going to be.
Right.
What's the handles on that? You got a Instagram?
I do. So the Bogus Odors is Bogus Odor Show. And for me, it's just my name at LinkedIn, right?
Okay, so great. Good. Well, listen, awesome. Darin, thank you very much for coming on the show.
So great.
It's been great.
Thanks for having me.
We really appreciate it here at the Riff. Okay, well, go Jays for tonight. I'm looking at your shirt.
Go Jays.
Let's hope that they can pull it off here and make 30 years, close the gap on 30 years of a World Series.
Bring it home, Cito Gaston.
Yes. All right. Anything else, Jared?
No, that's good
All
for
good.
me.
We're going to end it there.
I'll send it here.
Okay, well, that's a goodbye from me.
And it's a goodbye from him.